Hello everybody, Janet Urban here, founder of Friends in Film. Welcome to our podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to give you insights that you will not learn anywhere, not in film school, not online, not from anybody, even people on film sets will not know what I'm teaching you because we have studied how to go very fast into the film industry and create a career out of it. And that is what this podcast is about, and that is what the A-List program is about, which is our main flagship program that all these people all over the world are doing to work in the film industry. So enjoy today's podcast, and thank you so much for listening. Let's talk about making money. How you have the opportunity to make so much money, so much more money than you're making right now. See, most of us are thinking about a job, how much it pays, and I have to trade my time Monday through Friday and get paid that certain amount in that job, and that's how much money I'm going to make for the year. And what I want to shift your perspective to is you are a creative person, an artist that has a potential to have an idea, to create value in the world that can make you so much more money. And you don't have to think about it as trading time for money. So most people, when I talk to them about, hey, how much more money do you want to make? They're like, well, I would love to make a bunch of money, but I don't have the time. So they're still thinking about how much time they have in their day, how much extra time, and then looking at, well, what could I do to make more money? They're like looking at, what can I do to make like maybe $20 or $30 an hour? Instead of, what can I create of value that can make me so much money? What can I learn? What skills can I create? What can I get really good at that can create so much value in the world and translate into a lot of money for myself? So this is a different way of thinking that most of us haven't even considered. Instead of, okay, what's a job and what does it pay? We go to, how much value am I willing to contribute? Because I want to over-deliver and I want to give even more value than anybody else would ever even think about doing this job. Doesn't matter the job, it's the way that I roll. So if you want to make a lot of money, you don't want to look at jobs and what the job pays. You want to look at everything as opportunities and what you're willing to create out there, what you're willing to give, what you're willing to over-deliver, and to think beyond what is actually just apparent to you at the first glance. Like you could take any job and go into it, and here's your job. But most people would not be willing to go beyond that and ask, okay, what's the bottom line here? What does this company do? What's valuable to this company? What's valuable to my boss? How can I exceed expectations? How can I double my output? Instead, most people are thinking of how much am I willing to give for the amount of money that they are paying me? And what will serve you so much in your career is thinking in a different way about giving value and looking for ways to create value. Whether it's in film or not in film, just this way of creating value is the way that you roll. So if you think, I'm going to wait till I get on a film set and then I'm going to work really hard, I'm going to create value, you've missed all the opportunity of learning how to create value this whole time. You missed all of the development that you get to develop into as a person as you learn how to create value and what that means. It's funny because being an overachiever doesn't mean that you're working your ass off. It just means that you're using your brain to think in different ways, to think beyond your current job and be thinking further down the line of what you're doing and what you're adding to and contributing to by doing that job. So that is very exciting no matter what the job is. What am I contributing to that has other people's lives dependent on what I'm doing? If you start thinking in this manner, you're going to like attract so much money and so many people. And it takes a little bit of practice, just like everything else. Everything takes practice. And, we take a class, like an accounting class, and we learn something like that. But really what is so much more valuable, can you see it, is learning how to think, learning how to expect much more from ourselves and knowing that we can deliver that. Even if we've never even thought about it before, we can start behaving in a completely new way that we know is like the way that we want to roll because We want to be somebody that contributes to this world, that is an example for other people, that sees opportunities that other people are not even seeking out or even want to see. And we want to see these opportunities because we want an extraordinary life. See, when you think about directors and multimillionaires and the top actors, the people that are at the top of their craft, they're thinking about creating value. They're thinking about outdoing themselves. They're thinking about what they're contributing to make it even better. They're pushing themselves to think at a different level. And they're surrounding themselves with people that also think like this. So in order for you to be invited into that clan, you have to start thinking about this like this as well before you even start. If you want to get into a high-performing business like the film industry, you need to become high-performing in your thinking before you get into the film industry, because that's what's going to really help you get into the film industry and then get all the opportunities in the film industry. It's not hard. It's just a way of thinking that we are not used to thinking like this. We're just used to going to a job and doing the job and coming home and watching TV. But we're not going to be thinking like that anymore because we are artists that are here to really impact the world. So we're going to push ourselves and push our thinking to be thinking in alignment with that. So creating value is really like how you're thinking. It's how you show up, how you're being on that job, how seriously you're taking that job, how you're thinking about other people and your relationship to those other people. It's not how stressed you are or how busy you are, or how hard you work. That is not creating value. It's not like, being there on time. It's about thinking in a way that actually creates value for the company or for other people. It's valuable to them what you are doing. So that's not how hard you're stressing. That's not how hard you're working. It's the way that you're thinking. So for instance, this Michelob job that I was hired for in Hawaii, I was paid $9,000 for one day of work. I was working with Zoe Kravitz. I was flown to Hawaii, and they hired me when they had other people that they could have worked with because they had worked with me before. This was a very important job. It was a Super Bowl spot. It was a big company. It was a celebrity talent, and it was also involving ASMR, which was the theme of the commercial, which is where you're whispering into the microphone. So they wanted to do something that was kind of difficult, that had a lot of moving parts, and had people's careers based on this Michelob spot, which is always the case. But this one in particular, celebrity, big money, and in Hawaii, they wanted to make sure they had somebody that could communicate correctly with everybody and pull this thing off so that everybody would walk away saying, this was a great project, and everybody would work again. So that's why I got paid $9,000 for one day of work. It's not because of what equipment I brought, or how long I had prepared for this job, or how long it took me to, be able to do commercials. It wasn't for how much I stressed about the job, or how hard I worked on the job, or what equipment I brought to the job. It was all of that soft value that they get by knowing, okay, this is taken care of. We got somebody who's really great. And then they could forget about it. That's value for them too, to know that this part was taken care of so well that they can just forget about it. And if something comes up, they've got somebody that can communicate well so that everybody is safe in their careers and the job gets done properly. So for the peace of mind. So that's also creating value. So the skills that I must create inside myself to be able to deliver that's me creating value. And that's very important to me because I know that that's important to them. And I'm searching in my mind and in the way that I do the job, what's the most important to them? And I'm making sure that I'm communicating that and I'm giving that to them. So that's what I mean by creating value. So you're going to learn and have exposure to these examples when you are on film sets. You're going to watch the best people and you're going to see how they operate. You're going to see how they prepare. You'll see what their vibe is on set. You'll see how they handle problems. You'll see how they handle seemingly stressful situations, but they're probably not really going to show it because they're just going to be handling it. You're going to see how they think about situations. So they're not going to think about it as being stressful. They're going to think about it as, oh, great, I get to roll up my sleeves and create something amazing here. And we've got this factor and this factor and this thing happening. Okay, let's see what we can do. So you're going to see this problem-solving, amazing attitude way of operating, and that will be the best people that you will see again and again and again on set. And then you'll see people that are not thinking about creating value. And they're there waiting for lunchtime. They're there at craft service. They're there complaining about how there's not very much work. They're there and they're around them. It's a mess. They got craft service wrappers on the floor. They're not thinking about how they're communicating with people. They're just doing the job and wondering why there's not that much work out there. And the funny thing is that when you are in demand, you think that there's a lot of work because a lot of work is coming in for you. And when you're not even aware about creating value, you're going to think that there's no work because the calls are just not coming in for you. So that's why what I'm teaching you is so important. The way you're thinking is what creates your career. So the value that you're making, it's not based on how busy you are, how hard you work. It's not based on what even your pay is on the job. I can work for free on a job and I'm still going to give 200% of my efforts to make it amazing. So it's not based on how much they pay me. It's based on the value that I want to create out there, how I want to roll with people. So how I do my job comes from abundance, knowing that when I give 200%, that it comes back to me in so many ways, and it doesn't have to come back to me from this certain job. I know that this way of doing my job comes back to me tenfold. I know that I will be working so much for the rest of my career. So I believe in abundance. I believe in success, and I believe in giving, and I believe in receiving, knowing that it's going to come back to me. Scarcity has you feeling very constricted and worrying about how much work there is out there and competing with other people and thinking that there's not enough work to go around and you want to outdo and outcompete other people. So scarcity mindset is more focused on keeping what you've got. So you might not be willing to share like connections or knowledge because you don't want to give up your competitive advantage. But abundance mindset is like, I'm willing to share and talk about and give and make everybody better and everybody stronger. And I'm not concerned about not having work. My philosophy is that it all comes back in one way or another. And scarcity mindset is like, I'm not going to give too much. And I've got all these other people that are competing against me, and I don't want them to get stronger than me, and I'm not going to give up kind of like my hand. And scarcity mindset also doesn't expect it to be an amazing future. Scarcity mindset says, I better hold on to what I have now because I don't know what's coming in the future. It's really about beliefs. I believe that I am needed and wanted by this industry, and I act like it. So therefore, people pick up on that and they want somebody like that around. And that makes them also feel like they can do more. And then they might land more and more jobs. And then I attract people that are already attracting jobs and already doing really well, and they want me around. I got an example of this. One of my directors that I just started working with, I just met this director. And we had this little conversation at the end of the 3-day job at Warner Brothers where we talked about sort of like our philosophies of how we think about ourselves and the value that we are putting out there in the commercial world. And she said, one of the things that I tell myself is I am a lucky, lucky woman. And I was like, wow, I love that, because when you believe that you're lucky, you attract more luck. You attract people that also believe that. And it's so true that when what you believe is exactly what you attract out there. And you're working all the time, and now you're attracted to me because I think this way, and now we have a great team and a great group, and the clients can feel that, and the agency can feel that this is these are great people to work with. And that just makes us all work more. So yes, you're lucky, I'm lucky, we're all fortunate, and we expect that we're going to work again and again and again. Versus like, oh, coming from fear, oh, I hope they call me again. I hope that she liked me. All of that, it just feels retractive. It feels like it doesn't believe in possibility. It doesn't believe in itself. It's putting some kind of power outside of you for creating the future, like other people and the situations and, the amount of work that's coming in. Versus abundance mindset believes in yourself and believes that there's plenty out there and it always will come in. And the funny thing is when you believe that, it just always comes in because you're attracting it to you and you're attracting the highest level people to you with that thinking. And with abundance mindset, you're always over delivering. You're always over giving. You're being very thoughtful, and you also know that it comes back. Now, it doesn't always come back in the exact same way that I put it out there. For example, when I'm on film sets, I am very interactive with everybody, the gang boss, the production assistants, everybody I'm a champion for. And I want everybody to win. And everybody that's there, they are winning, and we are winning. And the production company that hired us, they are winning, and yay for them. So I have an expansive mindset, even me just being there on a film job, which everybody can feel. And then they also are like, oh yeah, that's true. And it gives them much more meaning for themselves being there on that film set. And it definitely changes the way that they show up on that film set. So I might interact with the gang boss, who then is working for another company later, and they mention my name. Hey, who should we get? And they mention my name, and he's like, oh, I love her. And then they call me immediately. So this is not even somebody that hires me, but it's somebody that when my name comes up or when they're saying, hey, who'd you work with? Oh, Janet, you got to call Janet. People refer me. I'm at the top of their mind. And they have 100% confidence, when they refer me, that they're actually referring themselves. And that's the way the film industry is across the board. When you throw a name out there, they better be good because that's going to come back to you if they're not. And if they're great, then it's going to also come back to you in a good way that person was awesome. Thank you so much for recommending them. So you're always creating that on a film set. And so that's why you always want to over-deliver and you want to always be appreciative, live in gratitude on these film sets, and be a champion for other people. Scarcity mindset is more like, what can I get? What jobs are out there? What's available? That's also what I talk about, the necessity mindset, like what's necessary, what's possible, and it's very limited. What can I get? Abundance mindset is what can I create? And believes that no matter what I do, it comes back. And my philosophy is to over-deliver and give value. So when you look at your life, are you over-delivering? Are you expecting good things to happen for you and for it to come back to you? And if you are doing that, that's awesome. And you're probably just nodding your head with what I'm talking about. If you're not over-delivering, if you're not going beyond what normal people do and doing way more and thinking in these different ways, why not? Why not? What is the downside to thinking in a way where you're totally over-delivering and giving value? There isn't any. The funny thing is that the more that you give, the more that you are open to receiving. Like the more that I give on film sets, the more that I expect people to refer me and I expect more work. And if I wasn't giving and the more that I contract and I don't give, the more I'm surprised if somebody refers me, right? So you really are creating the situation by your own thinking. So let me ask you, how much do you want to earn? Choose a big number, a number that like maybe nobody in your family has ever made. That would be a good number. 100 grand, 500 grand a year, $1 million a year, $5 million a year. Make it a big number. The purpose of the number is to pull you into being somebody that can create that much value. That's the purpose for having a big number. You don't want to make it a little number, like double where you're at right now, because then it's like, okay, I just double the effort. No, what you want to do is you have such a big number. There's so much value that you really want to create in this world that it spurs your brain into thinking way beyond where it would normally stretch to as far as creating that value, as far as the conversations, as far as the ideas, as far as what you're able to do in a day, what's possible for you to create in a day. Because if you've got a big money goal, like $1 million a year, you can't spend any time procrastinating. You can't spend any time being down and bummed out about, an opportunity that you didn't get or being stuck where you're at in your life. No, if you have this big money goal, it prompts you to change your thinking to be able to rise to that ability to make that money. Choose a big goal that's way beyond what's normal than you. See what a big goal does, a big money goal in particular, is it says, okay, that's a lot of money and that's a lot of value that I got to create. So I better get freaking going. It asks me to create beyond my current level of thinking. My current level of thinking is like, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. But when I've got this goal that I'm got to create that much value for, now I'm starting to actually think of new thoughts, new ways of going after and creating that value that I would never have thought of if I did not have this big goal. So that's the value of the big money goal. It draws you into new thinking that allows you to expand and evolve beyond your current thinking into a new person that can create that much value. To me, this is really the purpose of our whole lives, is to grow and to evolve into the highest version of ourselves and to not be stopped by fear, not to be stopped by scarcity thoughts, not to be stopped by other people's expectations of us, but to create new expectations of what we can create because we simply thought it and like, hey, that's worth going after. That's the life that I want. That's the money I want to make. That's the person I want to become. I see no downside there. And I'm willing to work very hard to go and get that. So how can you show up way beyond the way that you've been showing up in your job? So maybe take a pen and paper and write down some ideas for how you can show up much more committed with new ideas, with creating value for your boss or for your company. What are some of the ways that you can create value that you have never thought of because you never asked yourself to think of ways that you could create more value? What are some ways that other people that you have observed, how they roll? What are they doing? How are they communicating? How are they being different that is allowing them to create more value? And then think about the people that are not creating value. And do you want to hang around with those people? Do you want to be like those people? Do you want the future of those people that are just trading their time for money and not thinking about creating value, clocking out and going home and watching TV shows? Who do you want to be around? Who do you want to evolve into? The choice is yours. And I know that you want to evolve into being the top performing, highly paid, go-getter artist that you are. So ask yourself, what kind of example do I want to be to my family and friends? And what kind of example do I want to be to myself? Am I living up to my own expectations? And can I create so much more value than I'm creating today? Okay, everybody, have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for listening. And if you want to take your career to the next level in the film industry, go to friendsinfilm.com/join. That's friendsinfilm.com/join. You can sign up for our mini course, learn about the A-list model, and then you can take it all the way and do the A-list program. So that's friendsinfilm.com/join. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day, everybody.